Did you know since 1986 the Prairie View Athletic Club has been in full support of Prairie View athletics from football to tennis? The Prairie View Athletic Club has been there in the time of need. Did you also know that the Prairie View Athletic Club is open to all of those who will be interested in supporting Prairie View athletics? Do not have to be a former student athlete. You don't even have to be a graduate of Prairie View. If you are a community member at large and you would like to support the efforts of the Prairie View Athletic Club in support of Prairie View athletics, simply call 936-857-5817 and join today. The Prairie View Athletic Club, supporting Prairie View athletics since 1986. Call for more information right now. 936-857-5817. It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. Of course, it is our daily mission to try and bring you news that you could use. Today will be no exception to the rule. You can follow me on Twitter at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network. The website, obnradio.com. And our 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. And without any further delay, we're going to jump right into today's episode. I want to thank our guest on our Sunday night live edition on yesterday evening, Coach Clarence McKinney of the Texas Southern Tigers, Coach Doc Gamble of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff Golden Lions, and of course Coach Eric Dooley with the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. You can go back and check that episode out on the archive section at obnradio.com or at the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Good information shared by all three coaches.
This is Rob Butler with your Southland Report. The Sam Houston Bearcat defense flirted with a shutout and forced 4 turnovers for the second straight week, setting the stage for a 62-7 road win over Lamar at Provost Humphrey Stadium in Beaumont. The number 7 ranked Bearcats improved to 3-0 on the year, while Lamar falls to 1-3. Sam Houston has next week off before traveling to Northwestern State on a Thursday evening, April 1st. Lamar will host Northwestern State next Saturday. Quarterback Cameron Ward set a program record with 6 TD passes, and he ran for another score as the 22nd ranked Incarnate Word Cardinals beat number 16 Southeastern Louisiana 46-45 on Saturday. Incarnate Word is now 3-0 on the year, while Southeastern Louisiana falls to 2-2. The Lions have this week off before hosting Lamar on April 3rd. Incarnate Word will travel to Thibodaux, Louisiana to take on Nichols this Saturday. McNeese quarterback Cody Ogeron and the Cowboy defense came up big in Saturday's 21-7 win over Northwestern State. Ogeron threw for 305 yards with 2 TDs. Defensive end Isaiah Chambers recorded 3 sacks. The Cowboys improved to 2-3 on the year, while Northwestern State falls to 0-3. McNeese has this week off before hosting Nichols State on April 3rd. On to this week's games. Nichols hosts Incarnate Word in a pivotal game. The loser is likely eliminated from Southland Conference contention. Look for the Colonels and quarterback Lindsey Scott Jr. to bounce back from the 71-17 debacle at Sam last week. The Colonels hand Incarnate Word its first loss on the season. Nichols wins this game 40-37 over Incarnate Word. Lamar hosts Northwestern State this Saturday. My biggest hope for the Cardinals this spring was to win a game, and they did that against McNeese last week. They have an extremely young team, but there are better days ahead. The Demons win this game 31-20 over Lamar and Beaumont this coming Saturday. And that's Rob Butler, Open Mic Broadcast Network.
It's BJ Jones, and it's time for the Barbershop Minute. Crazy weekend in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. We've heard that before. Let's talk about it. Arkansas Pine Bluff goes to Grambling, Louisiana, and puts it on the G-men. I'm talking about this one looked bad. I haven't seen Grambling look this bad in a long time. 48-20. We're talking about a score of 48-13 for most of that. You got to give it up for that coaching staff in Arkansas Pine Bluff. The job that they have done. Doc Gamble and his staff, tremendous job. All right, let's go down to Montgomery, Alabama. We saw prime time. And the Tigers from Jackson State take on the Hornets of Alabama State. People seem to have forgotten that Alabama State has owned this series as of late. Well, yesterday Alabama State reminded everyone that they own the series, and they even own this edition of the Jackson State Tigers. Big win by the score of 35-28. Ezra Gray was the man, running for almost 200 yards against that Tiger defense. And speaking of that Tiger defense, they got shredded for 466 yards by Alabama State offense that we didn't think that was all impressive. You finish up in Houston, Texas. The Southern Jaguars go into Texas Southern, get a big win, 51-20. And they were impressive doing it. Offensively, Southern looks better. Defensively, they look better. Now for what's coming up, Southern will visit Jackson State in 2 weeks. Alabama A&M will take on Grambling this week. You have Arkansas Pine Bluff, the hottest team in the conference, going down to Alabama State. They'll link up. Hornets, Golden Lions, next week. Look forward to talking to you guys about that coming up next week. We'll be able to recap, and you can do it right here at the Open Mic Network. BJ Jones in the barbershop.
Of course, you had some huge football games over the weekend. The Golden Lions victorious over the Grambling State Tigers. And man, is there trouble brewing at Tiger Nation as far as the G-men are concerned. 0-3 are the Grambling State Tigers right now, and an absolute mad scramble going on now in Tiger camp. Sources have revealed that there's been some more shuffling of coaching staff as they weather their way through this spring season and looking for some huge changes coming up toward the fall. We'll keep a pulse on that to see how things develop there. Meanwhile, the Tigers will get ready to battle the Tigers of Texas Southern next week. And speaking of Texas Southern, of course, they fell short this weekend to the Southern Jaguars by the score of 51-20. They were right in the midst of things until the 98-yard kickoff return, which began the collapse of the Tigers in that Saturday event against the Southern Jags. So it'll be interesting to see how those two teams pair up when they meet next week. Meanwhile, the Jackson State Tigers fell to the Alabama State Hornets. The Hornets will now prepare to take care of the Pine Bluff Golden Lions this week, and that should be a very interesting matchup. Meanwhile, it'll be interesting to see how Jackson State rebounds when they get back to action after suffering their first loss. And speaking of Jackson State, the Lady Tigers in the NCAA basketball tournament was up against the Baylor Bears, and they were officially eliminated by the Lady Bears, winning by the score of 101-52. So we do want to congratulate the JSU Lady Tigers for representing the conference, taking care of business in the SWAC tournament, but coming up on the wrong end against the Lady Bears. Another well-deserved season for both the JSU Lady Tigers and the Texas Southern Tigers from the men's side representing the conference. Of course, with it being springtime, it is baseball, softball season. Huge matchups over the weekend, although one series was shortened due to COVID protocol. And of course, we're referring to the Prairie View A&M University Panthers and the Golden Lions of Pine Bluff. Panthers actually had won the first game of that series, but games 2 and 3 were suspended due to the COVID protocol. They'll have to go back to the drawing board to see when they can reschedule those remaining games of that series. Meanwhile, other SWAC baseball series, Alabama State ends up sweeping Mississippi Valley over the weekend. Southern University salvaged their series against the Rice University Owls in Houston by winning the Sunday match. Alcorn wins the series over Alabama A&M. And in the series of the weekend, it had to be the Grambling State Tigers hosting the Texas Southern Tigers. Grambling ends up winning the series, and they won the series on the final game of the series in grand fashion. Final score 14-13, the Grambling State Tigers victorious over the Texas Southern Tigers. And on the softball side of things, the Lady Panthers visit the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devilettes to take the series 2-1, losing the final game of the series, attempting for the sweep by the score of 12-7. So the Panthers will come back 2-1 as they'll prepare for this week's ahead competition. And don't look now, the Lady Panthers have done it again, winning their 5th bowling championship out of the last 6 attempts. Lady Panthers still on top of the throne at the conclusion from Arlington, Texas. Another job well done. Panthers will be off this weekend on the gridiron, but they'll next be in action against the Alabama A&M Bulldogs on the Hill from the campus of Prairie View A&M University. Of course, in Huntsville, they refer to their campus as the Hill, so we're dubbing this as the Battle of the Hill between the Prairie View A&M University Panthers and the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Be sure to stay in tune with us all week long as we'll continue to bring you updates, interviews, and a whole lot more right here on the Mike Prince Show and the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Right now, I must exit stage left. My time is well spent. I want to thank Brother B.J. Jones for the barbershop and Brother Rob Butler for the Southland Report. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, and as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side. The Open Mic Broadcast Network would like to take this time to recognize its sponsors and underwriters: Attorney Lee Van Richardson, Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, Prairie View Athletic Club, Temple of Refuge Ministries, Reflections Paint and Body Shop, Helping Hands Lawn Service, Diva Skin Conditioner, Purple Drip Daiquiri and Grill. For more information on how you can become an underwriter or a sponsor here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, our number to call is 832-213-8824. Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.